Did you know the president's children are given armed protection even after their parents have left office? This same protection will even carry on years after their term has been served. So why would we not offer this same protection to our children? Our youth are our most valuable commodity, and providing a safe learning environment should be a topmost priority. According to the U.S. Department of Education, there are nearly 100,000 schools in the United States alone. 1,000 of these schools are in New Mexico. And according to some research done by Michael Gorman, there were well over 50 shootings in the year 2015 alone. So what do we as a community do to address this problem? Well, I have spoken with several teachers regarding the topic of armed security on campus. And although some teachers, like Bryant Garcia, may not feel comfortable with carrying firearms themselves on campus, they do support the idea of having professionals there to help protect them in time of need. Providing teachers with the means to have access to a concealed firearm is just one of the solutions being pitched as a means to secure our youth. But is it really the best? I feel what is needed the most is trained professionals that will be taught how to handle serious situations and come to aid in time of need. In some situations, this may be a teacher with a concealed carry permit. In others, I feel we need to establish a campus police force. But before we go too deep into that, let's go over some of just like the main key points. We already know that most organizations provide some means of security to protect items that they consider valuable and their staff. So it'd seem like a no-brainer to provide the same security for our children. As stated before, teachers may not always be the best fit for this new role. However, whether we allow teachers to have access to special training or we provide mandatory armed service, we simply need to do something. Along with the training, proper armed security will not only help with situations once they've already occurred, but it'll actually deter violence in some situations, as per a study done by John Watt. But ultimately, in order to provide this solution, we must make armed security required for all schools in the U.S. But our first step is getting this implemented into the state of New Mexico. We have a unique opportunity to set a baseline and standardization for protecting our youth. We're now going to go over why these changes are needed. Well, since the early 2000s, there has been a steady increase in school-related shootings. And in fact, according to research done by the FBI, there's been a general increase in public shootings across the board. So something clearly has to be done. Currently, some schools already provide some means of security or police force. However, we find that these tend to be only in upper level schoolings or in what's considered problematic areas. The problem with this approach is that we have determined that incidences are not just isolated to these areas. In fact, when you look at the recent Sandy Hook elementary school shootings, you see that even small towns can be affected. And also, given the large number of schools that we have and the area that they cover, simply having 1 or 2 guards per campus is just not going to provide the protection that's actually needed. Outside of those teachers who would need to be certified, we would need to establish a proper student to guard ratio similar to our standards of our teacher to student ratio that we have in place now. Now that we know why we have to do these changes, just how are they going to affect us and how are they going to make things better? Well, by allowing trained staff to have firearms on campus, we have the ability to provide a safe and secure learning environment for our youth, without them having to wonder if they'll be safe at school today. This leads to a more productive learning environment. We currently have a large amount of land and number of buildings to cover, and in order to provide this, we definitely have to deploy a task force in order to cover all these schools. So, by making armed guards mandatory in the state of New Mexico, we have the unique opportunity to eliminate any unnecessary violence on campus. Students and staff will be able to have some peace of mind, knowing that they will be taken care of should a situation arise. And we all know peace of mind is truly priceless. We have now gone over the needs of what needs to be changed and how it's going to affect us. But what can we actually do to move forward? Well, we already have schools that allow some form of armed security. So what we need to do is take that one step further. We need to write to the state of New Mexico, Senate, and the Board of Educators and petition it be a requirement for all New Mexico schools to have some form of trained armed guards on our campuses during operating hours. We also need a better overall understanding for both. We also need a better overall education on firearms for both students and staff alike, so that we can better handle these types of situations. Simply having armed guards is not enough. We also need to know how to react to these situations. I know personally, when I was in school, the most I had to worry about was standing in line for a fire drill. These safety measures will need to be taken seriously and followed strictly, and it will need to be mandated and updated regularly. This route goes back to my earlier point, where it will provide a standardization and a baseline for other states to follow. Well, today we've covered a number of items that reflect my reasoning for wanting to require armed force for New Mexico's public school systems. I must admit that taking this on myself, I have changed focus from wanting current staff to be armed to moving to a new, trained force that can be integrated into our public schools. Some of our key points that we noted were if we are willing to provide security for items we consider valuable, then we definitely need to provide this same protection for our kids. We have identified that there's obviously a need for security with the rising shootings in the United States. And this security can come either from teachers with concealed carry permits or from an armed security force. We have discussed how proper security will not only provide a means to handle the situation should it arise, but according to law, it could also prove as a possible deterrent. My final point that I made were that these trained guards need to be required at all New Mexico public schools. We must provide a safe learning environment if we are to expect our youth to succeed in life. Our youth are our most precious resource we have. We need to stop pretending that safety will come from posting signs or stern words. Action must be taken to provide proper security for our students and teachers alike. We cannot afford to have our children live in fear of not being able to have a safe place to go when at school. Firearms may seem scary at first and even intimidating at times. However, given that we are able to trust our money to be secured by armed guards, we must apply that same principle to our youth. Thank you.